Hello again, I'm here to give you a mini lesson about some important things that you're going to need to know for getting into some of the trickier JoCo songs, which will use a lot of finger picking using these things. So, something you need to keep in mind here when you're doing this is a lot of the times you have to separate what each finger is doing and focus on what's giving you trouble. A good example of how to start off practicing doing JoCo finger picking would be take a song like Baby Got Back, where the main C chord is played, a normal C. You're gonna use your thumb, and you're gonna use your middle finger and your ring finger, and your thumb is gonna play the bass on this. It's just gonna alternate between the A and the D string, playing those C and E notes, and then you're going to add in the other ones. Sometimes you'll hit two strings at the same time. With like this one here, use your ring finger and your thumb together. So if you're going to practice something like that, just start by being able to grab one chord and taking it real slow and then eventually just speeding it up. So start with something like this. And then eventually try to get it up to speed. And then when you're comfortable, you can change chords. Something that always helps me when I'm doing this is you got to think about what string the root of the chord you're playing is on. So if you're playing a G chord here, typically you go between, the bass note is played between the 6th and the 4th string here. So something like this. And then when you do the 5th string, it's the 5th and 6th string to do your bass. And the same thing will apply for the 4th string root if you're playing like a D chord here. You're going to let that thumb bounce off between those two bass notes and just get comfortable using the other ones. This is similar to how I Crush Everything goes, is you have a D chord played like this. I'm just alternating here with my ring and my middle finger here. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, all while the thumb stays constant. And you can speed that up, and then the next chord for I Crush Everything is this E minor 7 here. So when you play those up to speed, it'll sound like this. So one thing you can do to practice getting up to speed on all these is just practice a chord progression that'll use all three of those roots depending on which string you're playing. So I think a great progression for you to practice would be G, C, and D, because then you could play something along these lines. You can go G, C, D, just like that. Then you can get comfortable doing any extensions, like a suspension, which is another thing that JoCo will do a lot. You'll hear, again, in I Crush Everything, you'll hear this one. It really fills in all the little spaces in the rhythm when you hear them playing like that. All very simple chords that you can do as little hammer-ons, and these little tiny articulations will go a long way when you're trying to do your finger picking. So that's something you want to keep in mind when you're going to attempt any Jonathan Colton song that uses fingerpicking. And finally, I wanted to throw in here, I mentioned in one of the tabs I just did that I would explain really quickly about natural harmonics. These are points on your guitar where you could hit the string and make it vibrate without fretting a note. And you'll get certain notes depending on where you fret, what string you fret, and etc. You can actually get harmonics on so many different frets depending on where you hit the string, but the natural ones will most easily occur at the 5th, 7th, and 12th fret. You can do more. It's not just limited to these, but you can do a lot more, and you can do a lot of interesting things. But the easiest way I've found to do it is to put your fingers on top of the frets without fretting here, and put it on in front of that fret. So on the 7th fret, it's sort of like between the 7th and 8th fret here, and when you strum through it, you get these nice notes ringing out. So when you get to the end of a song like I Hate California, or a few of the other ones that end with those harmonic runs, you hear, and then really nice ringing out noise that I like to use, and you'll see a lot of bands using it very cleverly to create interesting melodies. So Jonathan Colton is no exception to that. So keep in mind all these things I've shown you today, and for the upcoming lessons it'll be a very big help to anybody who wants to master some of the tough finger picking or the use of natural harmonics. Thanks.